On this week's video, we're making one big pot of pasta e fagioli soup, and then when we serve it, we're going to add hamburger to Joe's and keep mine the way it is, but add some spinach. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to One Dish, Two Ways. I'm Sheila and Joe's behind the camera. So today we're making pasta e fagioli soup. I might be butchering that name, but that's the way I've always called it. And you might recognize it because it's one of the soups at Olive Garden. And when you ask them to give you a description of it, they tell you it's chili-like. And that is true. And back when I was eating meat, that was one of our favorites. We loved to go to Olive Garden and get soup and salad, and we all both got the soup, or that soup, and then salad. But this, yeah, we both still like it. And this one is so easy to make it so that we both can have it. When you sit down and you think about it, there's a lot more ways to make it easy for people who live in a dual household to make it work. And this is just an easy one from the start. So I have based this off, there's a ton of copycat Olive Garden recipes out there. I found one, and I'm going to link that in the description box and then tell you everything I did differently, which isn't a ton. So this is a soup, but let me start adding, because this is on medium, because you know you got to have it on medium heat. And then we're going to start adding our raw vegetables. So we've got 2 medium carrots that I diced up. We've got 1 celery. I probably did 1.5 stalks of celery, and I definitely use the leaf part because I like that in soups. I cut that up, and then 1 medium onion. So I'm just going to get all this in the pot. Oh, this is one of our favorites. It was a little chillier yesterday than it is today here in Central Illinois, but it's still going to be delicious, and it's going to be great for lunches this week. So this is kind of part of our meal prep also. Okay, so I'm going to get that going. So we're going to let these vegetables sweat a little bit for about 4 minutes. Remember, I do a dry saute. I don't use any oil. And if I feel like they're sticking, I'll use a little bit of vegetable broth or water. But right now, we just got to let them do their thing. So you would have seen probably a couple videos ago where we did the noodle soup. So we did chickpea noodle soup and chicken noodle soup. And on that video, I opted to do 2 separate pots. The one with the chickpea and one with the chicken. Even though the ingredients were exactly the same, I just did it that way so we could put some in the freezer. This time, I'm doing it the opposite way. I'm making 1 big pot of soup, and then on the side, I have already cooked the hamburger, and Joe will add hamburger to his as he pulls out a bowl of soup. So we wanted to show you both ways within a couple different videos. So that's what we're doing today. So while these are cooking, I just want to explain a little bit more because I've had some questions about how we make this work. And we've talked about it in a few things, but the easiest thing, but one of the things we found is when we sit down and we make our meal plan, there's so many things. Like, we both eat raw vegetables. Okay, we can prep raw vegetables every week. We both eat salad. We mix different greens in the salad, so I get the greens prepped. He likes radishes. I don't. I still prep them for him. I like tomatoes. He doesn't. We still get those prepped. So we can pull out a bunch of different food. We can make our own salad. He can go out, put a meat on the grill. We can still have potatoes with it. I might have a bean with mine and some green beans. And we share the green beans, the potatoes. I have the beans. He has the meat. It's really not as complicated as it seems once you actually write down what your menu plan is. Oatmeal. We both eat oatmeal. He eats cereal. He just eats a different cereal than I do. And many things, pasta or some things, he's just fine eating the whole wheat version of it. Same with the pancake. He actually likes the oat pancakes now better than he likes regular buttermilk pancake mix. So you just have to work together and to just figure out that rhythm. And it's not like it's overnight. It's like anything else. When you first get married, you're trying to figure out how to blend what you did with your family when you were growing up and your husband did. It's no different than that. It's just a different chapter, and you're just trying to find a rhythm. And yeah, it's just, you got to find the rhythm, and then you got to have your hard stops. And like, you can't have chips around because I will eat them. So I started eating them again. So we had to move them again. So it's not just, oh, you're going to do this and woo, it's going to be an easy path. It's like anything else in life. You've got to work at it, and there's still always going to be temptations, and you just have to work through those temptations. So that's hopefully answer some of the questions I've received, because we all know you cannot change anyone. That's just not how this works. You have to work together to make this work, because you all have to eat, and you're sharing a household. And so you just got to make it so it's just easy for everybody. So these vegetables are looking phenomenal. So let's go ahead and add some of our aromatics, and that way we can let them bloom while we've got this hot skillet before we add all the liquid. So I've got some 5, I think, medium-sized cloves of garlic that I just minced up a little bit. Okay. And then we got good old Italian seasoning. I keep this around because it's got oregano, marjoram, thyme, basil, rosemary, sage. Then you don't have to buy all 5 of these. This works perfect, because you also use Italian seasoning, if you didn't know, in taco seasoning. So we're going to use 2, this is a half tablespoon measure. So we're going to do 3 tablespoons. So it'll be 6 of these, and they're a little heaping. There we go. And then this will let these aromatics bloom. And you don't want them to burn. You just want them to start, like, you can smell now. You've got that basil you can smell. And then on the top of this, when we go to serve it, I do actually have some basil left in the garden, and I'm going to chiffonade some of that onto it. So I'll show you how we do that. Boy, this is looking good. Can you smell it, honey? Yeah. Oh my goodness. And the other thing is, you don't want to add your garlic too quickly, because you don't want the garlic to burn. Really, once you start smelling that garlic, you know you need to start adding your liquid to it. Otherwise, it will burn. So that's why I don't add it immediately when I add the onions and the tomato, the onions and the other raw vegetables. So, boy, this smells so good. So I'm smelling that garlic. So now let's add our liquid and start getting all the bits up from the bottom of the pan. So I've got 32 ounces of vegetable broth. Another thing Joe does not care about. He's fine with vegetable broth over chicken broth. Exactly. Okay. And now we've also got 1 can of no salt added tomato sauce. I was actually able to find the tomato sauce and no salt added. I didn't have any luck with the tomatoes. But the more I can get no salt, I would rather, I don't put any salt in anything. And I try to use as little salt as possible, because I don't need it. And then I'd rather Joe just add it at the table, because everybody's taste for that is different. We've got 1 can of diced tomatoes. This is going to be so good. We've also got 1 can of kidney beans, and I was able to find reduced sodium ones, but that's the best I could get. Sometimes you can find no salt added beans. On the Great Northern beans, because you need a can of these, I decided to buy a dry bag of Great Northern beans, and I cooked them in the Instapot yesterday. And then I got 4, I basically got 4 1.5 cup bags of the beans, which is equal to, once you drain a can of beans, it's basically 1.5 cups. So I was able to get 4 out of that. And then I knew there was no salt in them. I just didn't have time to do the kidney beans also. So that's why I did the Great Northern beans that way. The other thing I did is, not only did I drain the beans, but I also rinsed them really good to try to get more of that salt off of there. So it just depends on what you want to do, but you definitely want to drain and rinse them, because in this case, we don't want the liquid from the kidney beans. So I'm going to get this up to a boil, or back up to like a low simmer. And then we're going to add the pasta to it. That's what I love about this dish, is it's just got everything. It's got beans, it's got vegetables, it's got pasta, and it's these little tiny pasta. Don't know if you can see it in the camera, and Ditalini. I never say that right. I cannot find this in whole wheat. This is like the only time I mean, this is one of the ones we don't have whole wheat because I just can't find it in whole wheat. And you need a small pasta with this because if you think about it, everything in here is small dice. The beans are small, everything's small. And so you want that pasta to go along with that. Boy, this is looking so fantastic. So we're going to let this come back up to a low simmer before we add the pasta. And then when we add the pasta, it only takes 10 minutes because these pasta don't take long at all. And then we'll be able to serve it. So do you want to come back after, or do you want to let this go to a low simmer? Okay, let's see if we can get this up before we go. So what other ways can you serve this? So obviously soup and salad is a fantastic combination. You could make some nice veggie hummus sandwiches to go with this. This is also a perfect meal in itself because it's got everything that you need. So there's different ways you can serve it. It does freeze okay. Some people say it doesn't because of the pasta. We have no problem with that. That noodle soup, I threw that in the freezer and it's for us. We don't have any problem with that. So there's just, and this is kind of a all-in-one, and this will be another good one if you're having people come over because you could make this base soup and then you could have off to the side some hamburger meat or chicken meat already cooked up. You could have a little bit of cheese. You could have some crusty bread and a salad, and then everybody just puts their stuff together as they want. It's more about, I know for me in the beginning, I had more of the worries, but what I have found is ultimately most people really don't care. And I kind of built it up in my head. When my friends come over and I have choices, they're always like, you really didn't have to have meat. We're fine with not. So it's never, I know I invent more of what I think's happening than it really is happening. So just keep that in mind, because really when you're getting together with friends, it seems like it's about the food, but it's not. It's just about coming together with your family and friends, playing a game, chatting. It's not always about the food. Good food helps, but you can have good food and not, you know, in anybody's eating form. So this is looking fantastic. And you see, we've now got that little bit of boil. So I'm going to add the pasta. And it's 1 cup of the dry pasta. I'm going to cover this up and we're going to let it cook for 10 minutes. And then we're going to come back and show you how we're going to serve it. So lid on and we'll see you in about 10 minutes. Okay, y'all ready to see this? This handle's hot, so I'm going to use this. Whoa! Oh my goodness, it smells so good in here. Oh, look at that soup. I ended up leaving it for 12 minutes. As you can see, everything is perfectly cooked. I will say this week, this video, you know, on the other one, I feel like I maybe added too much pasta. This is the right amount of pasta. So this was awesome. It smells so Italian-ish. Oh, I cannot wait. Okay. It's already off because we got to be able to try this on camera. It's going to be super hot. Also, another tip, beans, if you don't like kidney beans or you don't like Great Northern beans, just switch them out. You just need 2 cans of beans. So I've got Joe's hamburger. I had previously cooked a bunch of hamburger for him, and all I did was warm some of this up so he could add it to the soup. So let's go ahead and dish it up, and then I'll show you how we serve. So Joe, I'll do mine first, and then we'll come back and do yours. How much hamburger would you like, babe? Good? Really good. Okay. I'm going to add the soup on top. Another one? A
little bit of juice, maybe.
Perfect. Okay. So let's stir Joe's up. Show you his. Okay. So there's the traditional pasta e fagioli with the hamburger in it. Here is mine. Now, 2 tips. So I went out to the garden and I happened to have some fresh basil. So I'm going to chiffonade it. So all you need to do is just roll it. Not that I've rolled a cigar, but this is how they would roll a cigar. And then you just use your knife and you just very small little slices. Oh, the smell of basil is just phenomenal. And no, we did not name our dog after an herb. When we got her from the rescue, that was her name and we just never changed it. So here's the chiffonade. Spread it on top. A little bit on Joe's. Okay. Another tip that I want to give, and I don't know if I've given this tip before. When you go to the store and sometimes they have the bags of lettuce on sale or bags of spinach, just get it, throw it in your freezer, and then you can pull out some frozen spinach and it just crumbles. And then I just sometimes put it in soup just to add more greens to my soup. And in this case, I need more greens in this soup. So I'm just going to add some. It's a great way to just add. And obviously you wouldn't use it in salad, but you can use it here. Okay, let me wipe my hands off. Now, it's time to try. Did you want some crackers? I got the crackers out. Oh, this smells amazing. Way cheaper than Olive Garden too. I mean, I do like the never-ending pasta and salad. Now when I go, I get the minestrone because that one is really good too. Ooh, hot, hot, hot. Mmm. Delicious. Tomatoey. The vegetables are cooked perfectly. The pasta's cooked perfectly. Oh my gosh, this is so, so good. What do you think?
Tastes just like it.
Excellent.
I might put a little bit more of the Italian seasoning just to kind of kick it up, but
yep, and that's another thing you can do is just keep some of that on the side for people who want a little bit more. But wowzers, this is awesome! So let us know in the comments, are you a fan of the chili at the Olive Garden, which is this pasta e fagioli? Let us know if you make it and what you think of it. And thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And if you have any comments you'd like us to answer or any questions, please let us know. And if not, we'll see you next week on One Dish, Two Ways.